Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do another Foundation Friday, and today we are going to be reviewing the L'Oreal Age Perfect. This is the 4-in-1 Tinted Balm. Now I picked mine up in L20. Surprisingly, you guys, it's pretty dark for being a quote-unquote light foundation. Now, because it says it is a 4-in-1 balm, what that means is they're saying it is a serum in a balm, and it's supposed to kind of correct imperfections. Of course, it's supposed to conceal. It's also supposed to contain ingredients that are skin loving, etc. So this is really an interesting one. I picked mine up at Walgreens, and I think I paid like $12 for it. On the L'Oreal website, it is $16.99, but as always, you can usually pick these kind of foundations up at Ulta or at various drugstores and get a discount. Now, it comes in 8 shades, which is relatively limited. There are 2 fair shades, 2 light shades, 2 medium shades, and 2 deep shades. And I will say, I feel like all of the fair and the light and medium shades run a touch dark. L'Oreal says that this is a lightweight foundation with firming serum, and it has 4 unique benefits. It firms over time, it smooths lines, it conceals imperfection, it evens tone, and then they go on to give you percentage of women that thought that this was good and all of that, jazz. And then I wanted to look at the ingredient deck, because when they say that it does all of those things, but it has all of those skincare claims, I'm always curious what's in the ingredients that might actually do that. Now, it does have dimethicone. Dimethicone is a silicone, and it's going to kind of give it that smoothness, and it also can help to hold water in the skin. So dimethicone actually can be a very beneficial ingredient, but you need to know that it's there in case you have any kind of sensitivity to silicones. Then glycerin is actually the, I think, 4th ingredient. Glycerin's a great ingredient. It is a humectant. It can really, really help to hydrate your skin. I love it. It's a beautiful ingredient, and I'm glad to see it in this balm foundation. Now we go on down the list, and we get to phenoxyethanol. Now, phenoxyethanol is a preservative, and what's really important to know is that phenoxyethanol is a marker ingredient. In the United States, at least, phenoxyethanol cannot be allowed in a formulation over 1%. So whenever you see phenoxyethanol in an ingredient deck, you know that since we do ingredients in descending order of percentage, that everything that comes after phenoxyethanol in the ingredient deck is 1% or less. So it's a really great marker in an ingredient deck to kind of gauge out how much of a certain percentage things are after phenoxyethanol, because in this particular formula, the sodium hyaluronate and there's a couple other, the Saccharomyces, which is black tea for mint, those are actually after the phenoxyethanol, which means that they're 1% or less in this formula. I still think that they could be valuable in here, but it's really important to know that when a product has skincare callouts, but those skincare callouts come after phenoxyethanol, it's just important to note that that means that they're 1% or less in the formula. Food for thought, right? Okay, so let's get into the application of this foundation. I will do check-ins throughout the day, and then I will come back and, of course, give you my final thoughts and let you know what I think of this drugstore foundation. So we're going to start out. I'm actually just going to use the Sephora 47 brush. This is a kind of an angled foundation brush. I'm going to try that. And I am literally going to dip it in so I get some on the brush like this. And then what I'm going to do is kind of stipple it and swipe onto the right side of my face, onto the side of my face without the nose ring. So that color is actually not a bad match at all. It's honestly a touch dark for my medium. Okay, so that's the side that's done. And then there's the side. Now, for reference, you guys, I am 48 years old. I have dehydrated, dry skin. I have hyperpigmentation, obviously. I have erythema, which means redness. I just kind of have imperfect, irregular color to my skin. I just do. And I'm always, fighting things like puffiness, hyperpigmentation, redness, dryness, dehydration, all the stuff that seems to start happening as you approach 50. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do this with a sponge. So this is actually how I used to put on my very favorite Clé de Peau Radiant foundation. I'm really, really hoping that this will have a kind of similar application. Okay, so not surprisingly, the Beauty Blender side is a little bit more sheer, but I really do like that. I actually prefer more of a sheer, but the real thing here is that you can play around with the application. You could do a brush, or you could do a sponge, or you could do a combo. So probably what I would do is I would then go back and bounce in the brush side, but I'll just leave it alone so that we can kind of see. I'm going to do a little bit more here so that I can build it up just a tiny bit. And this light 20 is definitely a little tiny bit dark for me. So really, if you're going to order this online, then you want to be aware that I think the lighter shades at least run dark. I looked at the medium 20 in the store because they didn't have medium 10 and they didn't have light 10. They had like fair 10 and then medium, then this light 20, and then they had medium 20. And the medium 20 seriously looked several shades darker than me. So it's definitely, you know, kind of runs. What makes me a little bit nervous is if the fair shades are going to be light enough for the lightest people, and if the dark shades are going to be dark enough for the darkest people. So if you've tried this out and you are uber pale or uber dark, if you could let us know, you know, if the shades worked for you, that would be great. Okay, yeah, I really, really like how it looks on the sponge side. I actually like this side too, you guys. It's very, very silky. It's very dewy. Very dewy. I'll give it a little bit of time to set down. I will let you know that I prep my skin very similarly to always. Timeless, so that's my vitamin C. Revive, my growth factors. Then I used my Dermatology water cream. I've been using this a bunch lately as my moisturizer. And then I used my Dermatology Universal Tinted SPF 46. I don't have it in here, it's in the bathroom, but I used that as my sunscreen today. So that's how I prep my skin this morning. It's a very, very common routine for me, is that simple, those 4 things. So I'm gonna finish my makeup and then we will check back in. I'm gonna let this set for just a minute and I'll be right back. I am all done putting on my makeup. I think I forgot to do a baseline, you know, thing. And so I'm going to actually insert my baseline from a previous Foundation Friday video because it's the same. It's the same. My bare skin has not changed at all. So I'm going to insert that here so that you can get a look at my before as far as my bare skin and then my after. So you can kind of judge for yourself the coverage level. Okay, so first impressions for me are that you got to know that it runs dark. That's like the number one thing. I mean, this is probably going to be my summertime color in my opinion. But my goodness, once it has set down and it's still very cushiony and very dewy, It is a really beautiful finish, you guys. Now I can't really tell the difference between the brush side or the sponge side. I will definitely be wearing this again. I think it is so pretty. So I'm gonna go about my day. I'm actually gonna film another video, so you're gonna see this outfit in another video. I hopefully am gonna go get my nails done today, so if you see me with different nails, that is why. But I will check back in, you guys, and see how this wears throughout the day. Okay, guys, it has been probably, let me see here, it's been about 9 hours since I put this on, and honestly I feel like it's performed really well. Now the one thing that I would say is that over the course of the day it stayed in place, but it got more luminous. If you have oily skin, I think that this might not be for you, or you'd want to use a mattifying primer and probably also a powder, because I did neither one of those things. And I hope you can see, but it is very luminous. It doesn't look greasy in real life, but it's definitely, like, you see all that shine? It is definitely luminous. Mostly my forehead. My forehead is borderline greasy, but it's at 9 hours. I also feel like, you know, my bronzer blush situation is completely gone. I mean, maybe there's a tiny bit of blush left there, but it definitely feels, it feels almost greasy to me. But it's still in place for the most part. Like, I don't feel like this area is terrible. It's just stayed in place, but gotten more luminous as the day went on. This actually reminds me a lot of the Charlotte Tilbury, the Beautiful Skin, her new foundation. This is actually a lot how that wears on me too. It stayed in place all day, but it just progressively got more shiny. Anyway, I really like this foundation. I definitely prefer it with a beauty blender. I think that that's a great way to apply it. It is an excellent foundation at the drugstore if you have mature skin, especially if you are normal or normal to dry or have dry skin. I think that you would like this very much. It's so silky. The texture is different than anything else at the drugstore for sure. It feels like a high-end formulation, in my opinion. I could have powdered my face to keep the shine down and everything, but I didn't. So there's obviously that option. I don't think it's too far gone that I couldn't have, you know, kind of repaired it and made it look good for even longer. Let me know in the comments if you've tried this foundation. Let me know what you thought of it. It would be really helpful, since there are 8 shades. If you've tried it out, to let everyone else know what shade you picked up and if it worked for you, and what other shades of foundations you normally are. And this is such a great way for people to figure out when they want to order online, to try and start to gauge the color that they should actually order. So I do hope that this was a helpful review, and I will talk to you in my next skincare video. Take care.